Mrisho Kikwete, JK, President of Tanzania, and I have the Kiswahili translation, courtesy of my colleague Imani Swila at the University of Dar es Salaam to do the Kiswahili version. And yes, the books are available in circulation. I'm told there are around 100,000 copies in circulation. In Tanzania, you can get the books primarily at the Dar es Salaam University bookstore, but I think there are copies also floating around downtown and other places. In the US, you can get the books at various bookstores, but I think primarily through Amazon. So that's the commercial part. Okay. So the substantive part is what follows. Why write the book? You know, the basic question, which was raised by my colleague. For me, writing a political biography of JK was prompted by the need to record political development in Tanzania. It has been frustrating for me over the years to read about politics and political history of Tanzania, primarily written by outsiders. And so the question is, as an academic who has been involved in at least 10 book writing projects, I had no business complaining that I didn't have a book that I really wanted about the political history of Tanzania. So why not do it yourself? So I did it. The importance of having a Tanzanian write a political history of the country is embedded in the fact that I bring a unique character and quality to the writing. I'm emotionally involved in it, and in some substantive sense, I'm a participant in the political process. And so my interpretation is going to be, in my judgment, much richer than somebody coming from outside and trying to inject himself or herself into the process and try to do the interpretation. So I think there is an inherent advantage of a local trying to do some analysis. However, and this is where the diaspora connection comes in handy, I strongly believe that if I had been living in Tanzania, most likely I would not have been able to write the book at the pace with which I wrote it, or even with the perspective with which I wrote it. Why do I say that? The fact that I spend most of my time here gives me a different perspective, a little distance from what is happening in Tanzania, to be able to allow you to have a perspective that I think is much more nuanced and richer than if I lived in Tanzania all the time. And that is also prompted by a few of the writings on political leaders in Tanzania that I've seen over time. My complaint about foreigners writing about political leaders in Tanzania, of course, was prompted by the only major book on a political leader in Tanzania which has been written, which is William Eggert Smith, a book published, I think, in 1973. Some of you have seen it. Beyond that, you find little pamphlets which keep on talking about Mwalimu Nyerere as a fantastic leader. No analysis, just description. Mwalimu Nyerere needs to be canonized. Again, 5, 6, 10 pages, that's the end of the story. So the lack of serious analysis about political leaders in Tanzania is bothersome. And for that reason, my urge to anybody in the audience or even those who live in Tanzania right now is to go beyond what I've done. I'm working I've worked on the political biography of JK. Right now, if I have to jump into the challenge, the biggest challenge that I have right now is the promise I made this is 2014, 4 years ago. I made the promise as I was completing this book that I'll be writing the second volume of JK. This is a political biography. The second volume is analysis and legacy of JK. I did promise that I would publish the book before he steps down, and he's stepping down exactly a year from now, which means that I really need to finish the book within the next 6 months. And so my wife Alu has been complaining that I spend more time with the books as opposed to spending more time with her. But I promise that after the second volume, I'll take a break, and then we can spend some quality time together. Now, having said that, of course, you all know that I need to get home today, and I need to have a nice conversation with the missus, so I must make sure that she gets her dues. Now, why a biography of JK? Okay, why? Why didn't I choose to write about Mwinyi or Mkapa? Well, in a sense, I am of the generation of JK. He's a little bit older than I. Nonetheless, I went to school with him in the sense that I was a first-year university student. He was a third-year university student. He was my Dar es Salaam University student organization leader when I was a real, first year. I didn't know much about the university then, and we never interacted while I was at the university. I didn't know him personally. Nonetheless, and as he progressed into the political system within Tanzania, I thought he did bring a unique character to the political essence in Tanzania. And for that reason, I thought he was an interesting character. And in 1995, if you may recall, he was the youngest candidate running at that time when he was defeated by Mkapa within the party primary. And the fact that 1995 was the year that Tanzania was seriously having the first election with a multi-party system, and reflected in the intra and inter-party competition, I thought that he did present a unique characteristic which would have been important for us to record. And again, if I was going to complain about other people from outside writing the political history of Tanzania, then I had no business doing that because I could do it myself. And for that reason, I thought that JK was the excellent candidate for this enterprise. What are the major challenges in writing the book? First, of course, is data collection. We all know you do research in Tanzania, you're in trouble. You could make an appointment with the Ministry of Education, Treasury, whatever. The data you'll get will be about 20 years old, maybe 15 years old. And it wasn't very promising. So you have to be innovative and more or less use academic thuggery to be able to get some of the data. And of course, for me, having promised my publisher that I would deliver the book at the beginning of the year 2010, I really had to meet that deadline. Otherwise, I would be in trouble with the publisher. And so that challenge was working on me. At the same time, again, the hazards of doing research in Tanzania is that when you make an appointment with an official at 8 o'clock in the morning, he or she might show up at 4 o'clock and ask you to come back the following day or 3 days later. And so that was quite challenging. So you have to be able to have management skills and also diplomatic skills to be able to interview these folks and also have them keep time in terms of appointments. And of course, finally, I had this challenge of people were highly skeptical as to whether, number one, I was writing the book, and number two, why I had chosen this character, and three, if you were interviewing people of the opposite party, they would assume that you are actually working on behalf of JK as opposed to being an independent researcher. And for that, how much? 3. And for that reason, one had to tread very carefully in terms of the interviewing process, which was quite challenging. But I'm glad that I was able to overcome those challenges by indeed promising and demonstrating that this was an objective exercise. So, after the publication of the book, I told State House that the book was being published, and they invited me to launch the book at State House. I was pleasantly surprised, and we did it. One thing that was very interesting was that JK himself, in his remarks at the launch, said, I know that people are going to criticize Nyang'oro for writing this book, but they need to keep the ideas to themselves. If they want to criticize stuff, they should write their own book. In other words, I thought he was applauding me for having taken the initiative to write this book, and he said, and I'm very glad he did this. He said, "I've not read the book, and I'm going to take the time to read the book," which of course was nullifying the argument that others had that actually this was an inside job and had been done at the behest of JK himself, as opposed to Nyang'oro himself taking the initiative to write the book and coming up with the product. And so, since I have 1 minute, I would simply say that the biggest challenge I'm facing right now, of course, is the pressure of time again, because I had promised everybody, and I do not want to embarrass myself or my wife, that you promised to write this book, and you didn't. So I have to come up with a book within the next 6 months. It's a big challenge, and the fact that this year we have a major development, i.e. the constitutional review process, and I had wanted for that process to be part of this book. So, the votes that were taken a couple days ago will be part of the discourse that will be in the next book. Thank you very much.
Jamani, hamjambo? Mnanisikia vizuri? Sawa. Sitajitambulisha, nitajitambulisha mwisho kama nitakuwa na nafasi bado. Naomba nianze kwa kusema all the protocol has been observed because I need every minute. Mimi, I'll be using both languages interchangeably. Nasimama kama board of trustee wa DAICOTA, lakini what I wanted to share with you today is what has been my experience as a DAICOTA, what I learned from over the years of being a member of DAICOTA, na nikapata wito, nikajaribu ku put things into practice. Na mpaka nimeweza kufanikiwa kufungua state of the art modern clinic in Dar es Salaam. Like, the only confession I want to say is, if I didn't join DAICOTA, I wouldn't have been able to do this. So, naomba tuipigie mikono tena DAICOTA. And the reason is, huku jamani, huku kuna connection. Na sisi tunapoondoka kwenda Tanzania kwa wiki moja mbili, if you don't use the connection here, you will not be able to do things in Tanzania to get things off the ground. So, kama umekuja kwenye huu mkutano hapa, by kesho unaondoka, mtu unayemfahamiana naye bado ni huyo wa North Carolina, then huja enjoy huu mkutano. You need to make sure you know somebody else ambaye atakuwa ni a new friend, atakakupa new idea ambaye you can share, na you don't know when you will need that contact. Ili ukiuliza, je, ulipata nini kwenye mkutano wa Daikota, useme nimepata new contact. Sio jamani? Okay. So my clinic is called Access Medical and Dialysis Center, and this is started about now about 2 years, and it's located in Mwai Kibaki Road, opposite the TMJ Hospital. That's the website you can see there. And that's our new logo. We have to go through different versions, but it's not yet, this is the logo, we have it, Access Medical and Dialysis Center. So, okay. Give you a little brief introduction about the project. It's a completely for-profit clinic, but in order for it, because it's in a healthcare-related industry, for it to be able to actually reach all its functional capacities, we had to also register a not-for-profit organization that works in tandem with the Access. So it's called Access Healthcare Foundation. So the main goals of my mission was actually to have a modern and a very affordable facility in Dar es Salaam that will do medical consultation. My background is also not only in clinical practice, but I'm also a professor in medicine, so I wanted to do teaching and promote diagnostics, and also addressing issues we call non-communicable diseases, including kidney, end-stage kidney disease, kufanya mambo ya dialysis. These things are not easily available in Tanzania. At the time when I was starting this project, I knew it was a big ambition, but you know, where there's a will, there is? Okay. So at the moment, the center has 18 machines, functional, modern, state-of-the-art. Based on my understanding on the whatever data we have in Tanzania is still the largest, and probably the largest in East Africa. Sababu walikuja watu from AAR wakasema, we don't even have a center like this in Nairobi. So my long-term goal was to establish this as a model, na kama ikifanya kazi vizuri, if it works perfectly, to have the same model that can be implemented in different regions of the country. Kwa sababu we are bringing a new concept. Sio kila daktari anayekwenda Tanzania afungue hospital. What we need is to bring the services in the next level, consultant level. So this is a medical consultation clinic, and it does the work of, instead of going to India, you can get the consult and treatment there. So this is what I did. So when you have a project like that, indeed you have to go through phases. You need investment, and then you need their financial components, etc. Now Tanzania has, right now, it has a vibrant economic potential and maybe different financial institutions, lakini kuzipata sio rahisi, especially if you don't have contacts. So I was looking into where I could be able to get the initial investment, because you have an idea and then you need to have an investment, how you put it into practice. I must say, through attending Daikota, I was able to meet a lot of people from different financial institutions in Tanzania, but I also managed to meet a lot of representative wetu katika government at different levels ambao wana information nyingi. I will say special thanks also to Balozi Amina, aliintroduce kwa watu wa World Bank, kupata information na IFC. There's a programs zinatoa mikopo inaitwa OPIC. All those things were quite completely new, huwezi kufahamu. Lakini ni sort of grant programs ambazo zinaweza kufacilitate kwanza vitu kama hivyo. Now, so we've used a lot of different resources. Mpaka sasa hivi clinic iko operative, sina deni la kutisha. What I'm saying, deni lonalo kwa ni ile initial operative cost, lakini otherwise it's functional. Kwa sababu gani? Kumekuwa na different ways. Now, all this kind of information, I wouldn't have gotten it kama nisingekuwa active katika Daikota na kukutana na appropriate people wakakupa advice. You know, we take it for granted, but I don't know how many times you can be able to shake hands with a chief secretary or Mr. Singiri here. Try to go to the bank, utakuta kabla hujapigwa inspection sijui utaingilia wapi. So, but you get these connections here, use them, and that's the whole meaning of why you should actually be participating in these meetings. So one of the other things, I use the advantage as being a diaspora. So what do you mean? Because I live in the United States, I've lived here for many years, I work here, I knew people in the medical community, so I was able to look for appropriate partners because there are a lot of organizations that have interest to invest in our country, to help people, development projects, etc. So I was actually targeting to look for appropriate partnership with a USA organization. And on March 2012, I was able to make a good agreement with Bridge of Life. It's a philanthropic arm of DaVita. DaVita is a very, very big company here in the United States, which is focusing in doing dialysis projects in the entire country. So they have a program called Bridge of Life. To sign a contract here, of course, you have to go through a lot of screening, and you have to provide them data, business plans, and stuff like that. But eventually, they accepted my idea and went into partnerships. Sasa hiyo ndio diaspora inaleta nini? Partnership na huku. And I can tell you also, without the partnership with Bridge of Life, that center would have been still in my dreams. So this is the result of that partnership. What you're seeing here is us.